Yeah.
Hey, welcome everyone. I am back with Brian. We're here to talk about local real estate stuff that's going on. We have a couple stories to tell you and so on. And anyone who's watching the live, welcome to the live. If you guys want to watch this live when we do this, then just subscribe to Brian's TikTok. Brian, what's the info on that?
Sarasota real estate guy. Or you can just type in my name, Brian Wacnik, Wacnik.
Perfect.
It looks like Wacnik though.
Yeah, Wacnik. Okay, that's all right. That's
what's
right.
Your name
Sarasota
again?
real estate guy is a lot easier. Yeah, Maciek Zaremba. Good luck, guys.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
So let's get started. Let's talk about what exactly we've gone through in our last couple of transactions. What have we learned from it, and what can we warn any buyers or sellers about? So you want to start? What'd you have happen recently?
Yeah, so the market's really interesting right now. By the way, hey TikTok, we are interactive. I have your, we can see you on a TV over there. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and type them in, and hopefully we can get to them. Yep. But what I'm seeing on the buy side right now is I'm seeing the market value being lower than the appraised value. And I've had I work with a few different lenders. And what I mean by the market value, I mean the contracted price is actually lower than what the appraiser is coming back with. So it seems to me that kind of like a couple years ago when we were really taking off, the appraisers were lagging behind.
Right.
And people were having to make up that difference in cash. Like for example, the contracted price might have been $500,000, but the appraised value was $450,000.
Right.
So the buyer had to come up with that extra $50,000 if they were using financing, or they just had to walk.
Right.
Now what I'm seeing is the appraisers again lagging behind the market. So the market value, which is the price that the buyer and seller agree to, is $350,000. The appraiser comes and the appraiser says, well, it's worth $370,000. So maybe the buyers are buying with equity.
Right.
That's
nice, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of normal in terms of the underwriting, or I'm sorry, the appraisal guidelines with a market that is not changing so fast when it's just changing slowly. So you're right, back in 3 years ago
2019, right?
Yeah,
it's a good year to compare this year to.
Like, how far back are the appraisers going? They're doing 3 months to 6 months, max, right? And the market was appreciating so quickly that we didn't have enough today's closings to justify today's price. We had to go back 6 months, and that was 5-10% less, right? Which on a $500,000, that's $50,000 less that it would appraise. And now we have the reverse situation, which is actually a positive thing to the buyers, right? And the sellers, well, to the contract in general. We're not having contracts fall through as much that I've seen from not meeting the appraisal. And people don't need to come out of pocket with an appraisal gap, because we don't have that issue right now. And that's a great benefit to both of you, because if you agreed on a price, you're pretty much, higher probability of closing at that price.
Yeah. The other things I'm seeing are we still do have multiple offers if it's a really nice house and it's priced right.
That's correct. I've seen this as well.
Yeah, I just had one. The nice thing about this market is we don't have to run towards the house. We could kind of stroll our way there. However, if the house is nice and the location's good and it's priced right, you do need to put on your jogging shoes.
That's right.
I had one just at the beginning of this month. I was working with a couple, and one of the spouses was unable to go to the showing until the following week. And I looked at I actually, in this case, I did identify the property from the pictures. They thought it looked great, and they're like, "Hey, let's go see it next Friday." And I go, next Friday is going to be too late. You're not going to get it. It will be gone. And I was certain of it because I was very familiar with the houses in this price range because I'd been working with this buyer and another one who's really in the exact same boat as this buyer. So we went and saw it that day. The spouse couldn't be there until 3 days later, but that's what the beauty of the as-is contract with the right to inspect. So
That's right.
we put in an offer that day with a 10-day inspection period, which is, I think, fairly reasonable.
Yeah, in today's market it is.
Yeah, already had inspection lined up for, I think, the following Wednesday. And lucky we put the offer in because by Saturday, the listing agent had informed me that we were in multiple offers. So 3 offers on the table. They were going to pick the highest and best on Sunday. Now this one was really cool because I think this is a pretty common scenario right now. There's a lot of people who don't believe that they can buy a house. They're in $2,500 a month rent, or I'd say around here, $2,200 to $2,500 seems to be very, very common. They don't have a lot of money saved up because rent has gone up so much, and so have the price of so many other things that we're having to buy. But they're paying 100% interest on somebody else's property that is probably going up in value, so they don't really feel like they're getting the good side of this. So
they're at risk of getting kicked out in case the owner wants to sell.
Sure,
right?
There's a lot of things when you don't control it. You know, you have no control as the renter. So these folks thought they might be able to buy, but weren't sure. They didn't have a lot of money to put down. At first, they were going an FHA route, and through our conversations, I found out that one of the spouses was a veteran, and I'm like, why aren't you using a VA loan? And they're like, well, I don't know. They didn't talk to us about that. And I'm like, did you put it on your application?
Yeah.
And they did, and I'm not sure if the lender missed it or if there was some sort of communication issue here, but that's one of the reasons that we're here. We might not be the finance person or the insurance person or the inspector, but we know a little bit about a lot of things. And I brought that to the lender's attention. So we decided to go a different route and go VA loan. The interesting thing about this one is when I called the listing agent and explained what we had, that agent had mentioned to me, I don't think they'll do VA. And I'm like, the house is only 10 years old.
Great.
What's the problem?
Yeah.
You know? Well, I had to jump through hoops last time, and we had to blah, 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 and a lot of rationale, but not facts. Rationale that was based on that agent's last experience with VA. Now, luckily, the lender was very much on their game when it came to knowledge about VA loans, and he was able to have a conversation with this agent and explain through data and facts that VA appraisals are actually coming in higher than FHA and conventional appraisals.
Yeah, why is that?
No idea. No idea.
That is an odd one. But one thing about the VA program in general is that they're very lenient. See, because they run their own lending platform in a sense, they have their own underwriting rules. They don't have the same rules as Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac or the Federal Housing Authority, FHA. So they can kind of be flexible on a lot of things. And sometimes it's flexible on your payment, sometimes it's on the condition of the property, sometimes it's the closing date or the interest rate, you know? So if you're a veteran, you should really be looking into that option because you're allowed to have one VA loan at any given time. And I don't know all the exact specifics. That's like what a lender will teach you on. But I do know that I've sold many homes VA, and those buyers, they always seem to win more than the other buyers. They always have this great little thing that's like, wow, that's nice.
I have not spoken to a mortgage lender, a broker, or a banker who hasn't told me at some time or another that the VA loan is the best loan that you can get, period, for buying a house. Yeah. There's no loan limit. You could buy, I think right now in Sarasota, there's a $34 million property for sale.
Wow.
You could do 100% financing on that
Wow.
thing.
Is that true?
Oh, yeah.
We need to fact check that. That is almost unbelievable if that is the truth.
That is 100% fact.
As long as you qualify for the payment.
There is no loan
of
limit.
$100,000 a month.
I don't know what the payment is on a
but-
$34 million house, but I am single. So if you're a nice lady around here and wants to buy that, I'd be very interested in getting to know you.
All right.
So,
but you know, the VA loans are great, and there's lenders that specialize in it. But I'll be honest, my experience is that most lenders know quite a bit about the VA loans. You know, the lender that I use, his name's Chris Cavazos, and he has done a lot of loans in general. And you know, through experience, you get to know all these little, you know, the fine print of the loans, and the VA has less fine print that stops a deal or breaks a deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a veteran,
thanks for the like, Liv. Appreciate it.
Yeah, if you're a veteran, please get information on this. Call us, you know, call a lender, whoever you want. We're gonna have, you know, links in our description on this YouTube video, so you can just call and find out information to both Brian and I or any of our lenders.
Yeah.
But it's a great program. But have you experienced this? Because I experienced this about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and I was a little shocked. I had a transaction that was going to switch to VA, and it all fell apart because the seller, I was representing the buyer, a veteran, and we found out that we just had better terms on a VA loan after we went through the whole process. And you know, just a week out or so from closing, the seller would not agree to switch to VA. And I don't know what fear existed on that you know, mindset that they had, but I do know that VAs used to be problem files, and this is 20 years ago. You're right. Those were loans that would fall apart more often than they would not fall apart. And I think that's what might have happened, is that there's this mindset that, oh, VA, that's just more rules, more strict things that we have to do, more repairs we have to get done. But in my experience, you know, for quite a while now, many years, that is not the case. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I'm a veteran myself, and I'm in a VA loan. And one thing I know is there's actually only two differences between a VA and an FHA loan. One, on a VA, you do have to have a termite inspection that's paid for by the seller. I think those usually cost around $50 or $75.
$50.
The other one is that VA loans are guaranteed by the government, where FHA loans are insured by the government. Otherwise, they're basically the same thing, except the VA does no loan limits.
Yeah, and 100% financing.
100% financing. Although I've seen some of your videos, and there's some FHA products with 100% financing out there.
Yeah,
you and I have very different opinions about those. I think they're great.
There's a way to get an FHA loan, but the FHA program is not 100%. But
Sure.
you can get credits. Now, actually, this brings
Well, you can
me
get
to,
credits and you could get seconds, right? So
right, and you can get a what is it? The down payment assistance program to pay for your down payment, and then you get funding for the rest. And it is officially two liens on your property, but the down payment assistance is a 0% loan. No payback until you refinance or 30 years passes. So it's kind of like, we're lending you free money. That's basically what they're doing.
Well, in our scenario, you know, I think a couple months ago there was some Hometown Heroes money, and then they opened up the Hometown Heroes program to everybody.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to be a police, fireman, veteran, or paramedic,
Teacher,
whatever they consider heroes. Everybody became a hero. And during that time, I think it took about 15 days for all that money to get scooped up.
That's correct.
So it was gone, right?
Yeah.
So that changed our strategy a little bit. But here's the cool thing. So we put this offer in on this property. We won through multiple offers. The funny thing about it is that the seller actually took a lower offer. Our offer was less than, I think, at least one of the other ones, because he was a veteran and wanted to sell to another veteran. So
there you go.
You know,
and that's really how it should be.
That's a big win, right? And then we're probably talking like $5,000 or whatever. At the end of the day,
Yeah, and
What-
I think
you know-
most people that are veterans support veterans. That's usually the case. There's probably some outliers that don't, right? But overall, I think most Americans support veterans. The culture here in America is to support them. So when you see, if you're selling your house and you see an offer that is a VA loan, don't judge it if you are one to judge it. Take it at face value because they close more often than conventional. They have less restrictions, and they require you to pay $50 for a wood destroying organism inspection.
Right,
That's
big deal, right?
ridiculous.
Now I will tell you, so we got this offer in, I believe on, what month is it now? October?
Or at the end of October, yeah.
So October 2nd or 3rd,
Okay.
and we closed on the 24th.
Excellent. That
Right?
is really nice.
So if you're a buyer and you really do want to buy a house, it will serve you well to make sure that your lender has all the things that your lender needs. If they say they need pay stubs and letters and bank statements and jobs and blah, 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 give it all to them. Because I think one of the things that also made our offer stronger was the time to closing.
Yeah.
So we
quick
had a
close.
short inspection period of, I believe, 10 days, closing in 23 or 24 days, something
Yep.
like that. And we closed on time. Now, neat thing about the Hometown Heroes program, during this transaction, we were actually getting some seller concessions. So we were getting some money because my buyer didn't have a lot of money to put down. In this particular one, they put down $5,000 in escrow money, which is just good faith money. But they still had closing costs and things like that. So we had asked for a dollar amount of $6,000 towards closing costs and prepaids.
Okay.
Turned out that my lender on this particular deal was really sharp, and he found out that some of the Hometown Hero money that was gone came back.
Right.
Went back to the pot because some of these deals fell through.
That's right.
They didn't all make it to
Exactly.
the finish line. So he scooped it up for our borrower, and then we actually had to give back the $6,000 in credit and got the seller to agree to lower the price by $6,000.
Interesting.
Right, so we went from I think it was $324 to $319, and that actually helped everybody too because now the seller's paying less money in commissions.
Yep.
We weren't as worried about the appraisal, although I wasn't worried about it anyways. But now, the appraiser's looking, because the appraiser does have the purchase contract in their hand when they
Yeah.
appraise their house. Their job isn't to say it's not worth X amount of dollars. Their job's to actually prove why it's worth what somebody's willing to pay and what somebody's willing to sell for.
Right.
So we had, we didn't have any problems on the appraisal because it was $319 and the appraisal came in at $332, which I didn't tell the
Excellent.
listing agent until
After.
now.
Yeah.
So
Well, this sounds like a really, really good story. It sounds like your buyers really won, going from what, 2,500 rent or somewhere right
so the
around there?
buyer was paying somewhere around 2,500 rent. They ended up all in, including inspections, appraisals, everything, less than $6,000 out of pocket. And now they're in a home in Parrish, in a gated community, really nice, Neal Construction.
Very nice.
Beautiful neighborhood. Very low HOA that actually does cut your grass and things like that.
Nice.
Less than $6,000 out of pocket, and I believe their payment is $2,506.
Wow.
So if you don't think you can buy,
Wow.
you might want to talk to one of us.
Yeah, I've had so many examples very similar to this, different numbers, but very similar, where someone is paying X amount and then their mortgage ends up being a little less or right around the same, and their out of pocket was less than first, last, and deposit on the next property they would need to move to.
Right.
And this is, even with 8% interest rates, this is still a possibility. Now, one thing I wanted to add is that with the credit being given back, the $6,000, another option that might have been possible, it's not always possible, is using that $6,000 as a paying down your interest rate.
Yeah, so my understanding, and I try not to get too much into the mortgage stuff because really it's not my job.
Right.
My job is to connect buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
My understanding is that the lender scooped all the money that they could and put it in all the places that they could.
Gotcha.
So, and that's what actually ended up, initially they put down the 5,000. I think they had to write it. They were able to write a check. The amount was so low at closing. I think it was $121.
Wow.
So
wow, amazing.
So $5,121 plus appraisal and an inspection, and they were in a house owning versus renting on something that I do believe is going to appreciate. Actually, I know it. Just depends on how long that timeline is.
Yeah.
I'm not really seeing prices go down. I'm seeing them stay very flat.
Yeah, so before we talk about pricing, which I do want to talk about, I will add one more thing that just got changed a couple days ago that pretty much nobody knows about yet because it hasn't been spread out there. So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac just updated one of the rules. And this is huge, huge, huge news. And it will get known. But here's what you can do now. So when you get, I'm not talking about FHA. I'm not talking about FHA or VA. I'm talking about Fannie Mae conventional loans, okay? Or Freddie Mac conventional loans. Now, the old rule was up to 3% of the purchase price can be contributed towards your closing costs, right? The buyer's closing costs. So you have a $400,000 purchase price, up to $12,000 the seller can contribute towards the buyer if the buyer doesn't have enough money to close. What changed? Well, it's still 3%, but now the seller can give or gift funds. So gift funds used to only be able to be given by immediate family members of the buyer. Now, the seller can also give gift funds. So here's some examples out there. If you're a buyer and you have great credit, you have a good job, but you don't have any down payment money, how about, and you're not a veteran, or you can't do it 100%, how about going in and asking for a contribution from the seller towards your down payment? And you might be able to match the rest of it because you can buy conventional with as low as 3%. Right? There's 5%, there's 10%, there's 20%.
So is this gift given at closing?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there's no limit on it.
And well, I believe it's a 3% limit.
So you can really get 6.
Exactly.
Wow.
Now you can
High
go
five.
up. Exactly. This is a great
This
change.
is why I hang out with him. He's so smart.
This is going to make home affordability open it up to so many people.
Yeah, I love that. That's
right.
amazing.
And I think it's a good change considering what's happening with the market, right? The sales have slowed down. I mean, from a year ago, 2 years ago, and 3 years ago, but we were in a frenzy.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, that's not a market I compare this to.
Right.
I compare 2023 to 2019.
Yep, 18 and 19.
We're really the same, except the rates are higher.
Exactly.
And the prices are higher because
that's correct.
The equity gains that have been gained, they just don't seem to be going away. Not Sarasota through Northport, for sure.
Yeah, the appreciation has not even been offset like this much from what it went up. Mm-hmm. The prices, so let's talk about pricing a little bit. I do my monthly market update, and if you haven't seen it, just go on my YouTube channel here, and I have a very short video every month going over the month-to-month statistics of what's happened in our local market. It talks about Manatee County and Sarasota County, single-family homes and condos. That's simple. That's why it's a short video. And what I'm seeing is that every month we either go down slightly, like 3%, and then the next month it goes up 3%, or it goes up 4%, and then it goes down 3% or 4%, and it's just like this constant, it's staying within this
flat,
range.
though,
yeah,
right?
it's very flat.
Because I know I was with the chief economist for Stewart Title, who's very knowledgeable, and Stewart Title apparently is a Fortune 1000 company.
Okay.
And he was going over his charts and his models, and some of them were way above my head. But I looked at the pretty pictures and the graphs, and he kind of made it easy. And I think overall statewide we'd had about a 3% gain in property values this year over last year. But with the amount of inflation that we're still experiencing, that basically makes it dead even, which is it's good. It's good for everybody. I know that buyers would like the prices to go down, but if they were really going down, then you'd be buying a depreciating asset, and that kind of defeats the purpose of buying a home.
Yeah, yeah, but really, here's the way I see it. If I knew that we have decreasing, a declining market. Let's just say I have a crystal ball and I can see it over the next 3 years, our prices are going to go down. My alternative is renting, and rent is not scheduled to go down. Okay, that is it's looking like it's going to stay the same or go up, because there's not enough homes for people right now, and there's definitely not enough homes for sale for buyers.
Well, when you look at the migration patterns and the number of people coming in Florida versus going out, good luck.
Yeah, we have a 1.9% increase in our migration,
right.
And then some other states have a major decline.
And I think a lot of the national news, it's great that they have stories for people to read. I do have an advertising and marketing background, and one thing I can say is that the phrase, if it bleeds, it reads, still holds true today.
That's right.
So if there's something that sounds scary, the housing market's going to crash, then you're probably going to read that. And that's it's probably what I would consider a little bit of irresponsible journalism, because maybe they're talking about California. I don't know about you, but I've been getting a lot of customers from California.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I used to. When COVID was happening, there was a lot of people leaving.
I have a good bit of California customers, and I really like you all. So contact me. You can have Idaho or something. Which actually, Idaho is a place where there's an influx of a lot of people from California and stuff like that. But it's, if you're in a state like New York, I believe is number one. People are leaving New York.
That's right.
That's all there is to it. You are number one in exits. And part of that is because New York is New York City the largest city in the United States by population?
I don't know, but it's
I believe
very
it is.
populated.
I think there's like 8 million people.
Okay.
And one thing that I've read about recently is about in a lot of the big cities, the jobs that went remote, where people no longer are working in the brick and mortar, they have not come back to work. These are now remote positions permanently. So if you live in Chicago, and just, I don't know, probably next week or something, it's going to be -30 or something stupid. If you could do that and be in 260 days of sunshine and be able to go to the beach, a beautiful beach.
Many beautiful beaches.
Right? And still do your job. I'm not sure if when you move, if you still have to pay state income tax. I don't know how that works, but there's a lot of financial benefits and I think health benefits to living somewhere that's not a big city.
Right.
I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of evidence to prove that. I know the closer you are to parks and recreation, the better.
And really, I think this is why we have so many people moving to Florida, is that we know this, but it's hard for people to just pick up and say, okay, kids, we're going to a different state, a different school. That's a difficult thing to do. Now, if you're a single person, I don't see why you're still elsewhere if you have a remote job that pays enough to buy a property down here. Because I know that, in rural areas, a house is going to be a lot cheaper than in Florida. But we are, pretty much anywhere that's worth living in Florida is within 45 minutes to a beach. That's unless you want to have 30 acres of farmland or something.
I did show a house in Mayaca this week. You get a lot for your money.
That's true.
A significant amount. I actually, when I opened the door, I went, oh wow, and I let the listing agent know. I was like, when I opened the door, I was shocked, and she's like, why? What was wrong? I'm like, no, it was fantastic. This was I think this house was $500,000 here. This is easily a 1.3, 1.4 around here. So it wasn't that far. You're about an hour inland. So we do have rural properties, but people are leaving cities because of whatever reasonings they have to leave cities, and they're moving to areas that they want to be in, or they're moving not just outside of the bigger cities in the smaller places. And with that exit of people, a lot of them are coming here, which is it's great. I'm starting to see it on the traffic a little bit, but our traffic relative to traffic in big cities is nothing. I mean,
our traffic is excellent. You
This
go
is
to
nothing.
St. Pete and Tampa, you go
Sure.
anywhere, Clearwater, that's just an hour away from us, and you are sitting in traffic every day. And I mean sitting.
Well, and that's one of
Right.
the things that I think really makes Sarasota a gem. And don't quote me on this. You could Google it yourself, but I believe that Sarasota city population's only like 55,000 people or something. St. Pete, it's 150,000 or 250, something like
Right.
that. Clearwater's 350,000. Tampa's 400,000. So those are much more densely populated areas. I do know. Do you know what the population increase is for us during season in Sarasota?
I don't know, but I know that it's bigger in Venice, for example, than in Sarasota, because
That
we do
makes
have
sense.
the snowbirds, right?
Sure.
And Venice has a lot of snowbirds, a lot more snowbirds,
Mm-hmm.
which is a more affordable area, by the way. So
Not
if-
much.
10%. I say 10 to 15%.
Okay.
And we have homes. If you do a search on the MLS for under $300,000, what can you buy there? 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They're out there, and they're not a bunch of junk from 1942 that have not been upgraded or maintained.
See, and I
Those are
haven't
some
had a
decent
customer
homes.
in that particular price range for a little bit. I did have one that was kind of under 300.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Northport becomes a
Very
very,
attractive.
very good option.
Yeah. And Port Charlotte even more so.
Yeah, the one thing I got to tell you in that price range, let's say the $350,000 to $400,000 range.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a nice house that's newer, Parish is a wonderful option.
I've been talking about Parish.
I mean,
for years.
I gotta tell you, I'm a player for Parish now, and it's the reason I would be a player for Parish is my office is 2 miles from Siesta Key, so I kind of have an address by the beach.
Yeah.
Right. The neat thing about Parish though is you're about 20 minutes to St. Pete, maybe 40 minutes to Siesta Key.
Right.
Probably a similar drive to downtown Sarasota as well.
Yep.
You have Bradenton, that's another option for you, and then Tampa is probably 40 minutes or 30, 35,
Yeah,
somewhere
exactly.
like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
So strategically, Parish is wonderful, and the houses I'm seeing there. Now I will say, I'm seeing a major builder there. And I mean a major, number 2 in the country,
Okay.
which you can Google and figure out who that is. They are lowering their prices.
Who is that? I don't know who number 2 is, but there's.
It's Lennar.
Lennar.
So D.R. Horton, my
Interesting.
understanding, is the largest
Gotcha.
in the country, and I believe Lennar is just behind them at number 2. But I'm getting their price sheets on some neighborhoods. One that I sold in Parish recently. Beautiful house. The folks I worked with, I think they paid $409,000, almost 2,300 square feet, 3-car garage, 60-foot wide lot, brand spanking
For
new.
409?
409, right?
Like literally brand new construction?
Brand new.
Wow.
Build a bear.
What kind of incentives they get? Because that's what I'm seeing and hearing. Is that there's a lot of incentives.
So they didn't do much. It wasn't really anything. You didn't get to pick what you wanted. This is what it is.
Yeah, that's how usually that goes.
I do believe there was a financing incentive, but
Okay.
again, I tend to stay out of that.
Yeah.
This person knows that, or that person knows that. That's why they have a license. So, but I know that they did have their own lender, and they ended up going with the builder's lender because of the incentive for it.
You can't compete. The
I'll tell
lenders
you,
can't compete.
I was out in Northport. I actually worked a day as a model minder.
Okay.
Meaning, so the
model
employee for this particular builder was like off work or something and asked me if I would fill in. And I said, sure. I was floored by their finance incentive. I think that they were locking people in on a 30-year fixed for under 6%.
Yeah. So is that a 3-2-1 or a 2-1?
No, a 30-year fixed. I know that it's hard to believe. I'm telling you, it's real. As a
Okay.
matter of fact, I had a customer.
Let's talk about this.
I had a customer
This is
come
a good
in
one.
during this deal.
Yeah.
This model minding or
Yeah.
sitter or what do you call it?
Yeah, I don't know. Working someone else's job, not getting paid for
right.
it.
and I'm like, basically, he had a question about what kind of tile he had in his house, and I was able to figure it out. And I go, hey, just out of curiosity, what did you pay? And he goes, well, I paid the asking price, but, and he looked at the finance incentive, which I believe said like 5.9, 30-year fixed.
Yeah,
And he
nice.
goes, my rate's lower than that. And I'm like, huh? So something with the builder, they have to be paying the difference in interest over a 30-year time frame.
So let me tell you actually what they do. I was talking to Chris Cavazos, my lender, about this just 2 or 3 days ago.
I know
And
Chris.
Yeah.
Doesn't he dance?
I don't
Does he have a
know.
dance
Oh yeah,
studio or
He
something?
he does like salsa and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Some sort of Latin.
Yeah, he's
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't know how
he
to
was-
dance.
Yeah, me neither. What he was telling me was that the builders.
Hey,
when
somebody named Brian joined. Hi, Brian. I'm Brian.
So when the builders get ready to break ground on a particular community, they, knowing that the interest rates are going to go up, what they do is they buy a certain interest rate for that community for everyone that goes through their financing preferred lender. So they will pay up front. And I don't know what the percentages are or what the price is, but it's like, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 they pay up front to buy down the rate for anyone. And so now they can put it in their marketing and advertise it. And anyone who, has the A+ credit score with whatever percent down can now qualify for this loan.
Yeah.
And then they can buy down even further if the
I
buyer
think
wants to.
like this gentleman I met who was closing in like 2 weeks or something, he said, my rate's better than that. I'm like, how much did you put down? He goes, well, I only had to put down $500 to begin with.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. I'm like, so how much total out of pocket are you going to be? I think he was at like around 11,000.
Okay.
Brand new house.
Yeah.
So that's in Northport. They do
amazing.
one-offs through there. So there's some options, and I think that I know who your lender is, and he's great. I do see a lot of lenders falling out of the business right now.
Absolutely.
Or they're changing companies and going to another company that has like a bigger team and more support because maybe they're at a pretty small shop and
Yep.
there's
Same
just
with
not
agents, too.
there's not a business. There's not enough business to keep the doors open.
That's right.
So I'm sorry if you're a lender. I know your job is really hard right now,
Yeah.
and I say that because luckily for us, do you know what the stats are for Sarasota County right now on the
How many
percentage of
agents?
cash deals?
No, I don't actually.
It's
That would
probably
be good to
around
know.
40%. I would.
And it's usually about 50.
Yeah,
you know?
but I think it's a little lower. I think it's around 40% or
Mm-hmm.
35%, and we'd have to pull that, but that's
Yeah.
going to be close. So there's always people paying cash for houses,
Mm-hmm.
so we have that luxury, and that doesn't do the lenders any
Yeah.
favors. And
Exactly. We have more business that comes through, and the lenders are suffering because what they usually have to offset that are refinances. And one day they will have a lot of refinances.
Oh, yeah.
When the 6
Yeah.
or 5.5
I might
hits,
want to get my license for when that happens.
But I wanted to talk about new construction because I have a few things to say about the benefits of buying new construction, and I think a lot of buyers out there kind of realizes because right now, right around 30 to 35% of all sales in Florida are new construction. Okay,
Yeah.
so what are the builders doing to attract all this business? Well, first of all, everyone loves a brand new home and the newest concept, floor plan and all of that, right?
it's like, do you want to buy the teddy bear off the shelf, or do you want to build one? Right?
Or do you want to go to Goodwill and get a teddy bear, or do you want to buy a brand new one?
You could even give it your voice, right?
Right,
so, there's something that goes with that. I think there's a lot. I've had buyers who have only bought new homes, and not young people. I'm like, how many houses have you purchased? This is my 7th, and I'm like, okay. I always buy new. I'm like, wow, I've
Yeah.
never bought an old house. I'm like, what's old? Not new. I'm like,
Interesting.
these are 100-year structures, right?
Yeah.
So
I've never bought a
a-
new house. I've always bought old.
I haven't either, and I don't think I would.
I would. I would.
I wouldn't. It depends how much. If I'm gonna build, then it's because I have so much money that I'm going to build something that's
it's your
ridiculous,
beachfront, customized house.
Yeah,
you got to pick.
It's like
everything,
a fireman pole that takes me down from the
Wow.
my bedroom to downstairs, and a slide and like a trampoline and.
Wow, you looks like you have it all envisioned.
It's coming
With
to
toys.
me. It's coming to me
With
right
toys,
now.
yeah.
And jet skis and ramps and all kinds of stuff.
Exactly.
A safety hazard.
But
That's what I want to
the new
build.
construction in a community, I would entertain that, because not only are they giving all these incentives that we're talking about, but who doesn't like, the latest and greatest in a lot of the technologies, or even just, 10-foot ceilings and things like that, and 8-foot doors.
I'm
big
the mid-century
openings,
modern
right?
nerd, man.
Gotcha. Okay,
So,
and that's what I've been buying, but I would prefer to have new at this point.
Well, that's great, because you could sell me your old houses, and
Sure.
I'd be happy to live there. I'm looking for, just so we're clear here, if anybody has something, I'm looking for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, mid-century modern home in Southgate that you think is going to get torn down, but I'm just going to buy it and make it better, and I want to live there.
So today we had a listing come up on Goldenrod.
Okay.
That was $460. I think it has a pool. Unbelievable price. Now this might be just outside of Southgate, because it's really close to the corner of Tuttle and Weber. I'm just not sure. But basically we have opportunities out there all the time. I don't know if it's going to be your style, but check it out on Goldenrod.
Okay.
So about the new construction though, another benefit here is that new construction is going to give you the lowest insurance rates, right? And obviously nothing goes down in price. Like milk gets more expensive, phones get more expensive. Remember when phones used to cost like $300? Now they're like $1,200, more than your laptop.
I think they're more, yeah.
But insurance is the same thing. Everything's going up. But when it comes to new construction, you're going to have a really low rate. I talked to a past client today that's looking at buying a lot, and he bought a house I think 4 years ago. So it's a 4-year-old house. It's not brand new construction, but it's almost there. And his insurance is $1,200.
Right, and I get that. You and I have kind of had this
Crazy.
discussion a couple times. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care about insurance costs. And the reason I don't is because I know where our buyers are coming from.
Let me guess, you have a new house.
No, my house is 16 years old, and my insurance
under
is
20
is 3 times the cost that it was last year, which puts me at $2,400 a year. I don't care.
Gotcha.
And the reason I don't care, though, again, talking about the buyers who are states that they're exiting in and states that they're coming to. So they're leaving California, they're leaving New York, they're leaving New Jersey, they're leaving Massachusetts,
Texas.
They're leaving. Are they leaving Texas?
Yeah, there's some coming.
They're leaving
here.
Connecticut, right? So, but most of these states, I don't know about Texas, but the ones I just listed off, their taxes compared to ours are astronomical. I've met people who live in Illinois who have a $700,000 house and pay $35,000 a year, versus I think that $1 million house here, the taxes are usually approximately about $10,000.
Yeah.
So the difference in taxes versus a couple grand or $4,000, or I have $1 million, I have a $1.45 million house listed right now. Those folks are currently paying $6,700 a year for insurance.
Okay, right.
And that's
so
an old house built in 1962.
But Florida does have a lot of natural disasters, but more importantly, the claims that come out of the natural disasters. And I know that, in terms of the insurance industry, Florida is a drain to the companies that are spread over every single state. So what do? They just bump up the rates. Now, I'm not saying we're the most expensive, but I am saying that it is a concern for a lot of people, because maybe they're moving from New York to here, but that doesn't mean they're going to get paid the same over here, right? They might take a little bit of a pay cut.
Well, they're working remote, man. What are you talking about?
Some are, yes.
Yeah, or
some are.
I mean, let's be honest. Most of them don't have jobs.
They
already did
Let's
that.
be honest.
They
You're
did
right.
that, man.
They've
They're not working
and-
anymore.
Yeah.
They're playing golf right now,
Right.
or actually
their
they might be
50s
having
retired.
mimosas, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's past 2 o'clock. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, 5 o'clock somewhere starts pretty early here for a lot of folks, right
true.
during golf in the morning. So,
But also, the new construction also does give a lot of of the incentives, not through the form of a price reduction, but they're going to, like we talked about earlier, they're going to pay down an interest rate, or they're going to get you to have zero closing costs, right? Or they get you some upgrades inside the house, maybe some recessed lighting all throughout, or some upgraded countertops or something like that, because not all lenders have a plan that you can't change. Some of them have upgrades available once done before a certain date. Before
for builders,
order.
yeah, absolutely,
for the builders,
right.
right?
And you know, and where I'm not seeing, you know, this is where the big builders have a lot of power.
Yeah,
they actually have so much power that the interest rates didn't lower our prices. The inventory is not lowering our prices, even though we have about 6 times the inventory of what we had 18 months ago.
yeah,
6 times.
yeah, but not
It's
new
still
construction.
not a lot of inventory, right?
Right.
So there's only one player that really has the power to lower the prices on resales as well, and that's the builder. If they actually went and started lowering their prices, that would, I believe,
Trickle
correlate with lowering the price of the resales.
Yes,
But
I agree
the
with
but
that.
is everything I just said is negated by, although I mentioned that Lennar in this particular community is lowering their prices, most of them aren't. They're keeping their prices the same, but they're making the price different by offering maybe $50,000 in concessions at the design center, or they're
Exactly.
lowering your rate. They're not lowering their prices though.
Correct.
And you know, unfortunately, when you look at the tax record, you only see the sale price. You don't know that maybe the builder gave $150,000 in concessions.
Exactly.
Now-
So you don't see the real effect on that actual buyer.
Now, I don't particularly see myself building, especially in a community. I'm out. I don't want to be 15 foot away from my neighbor on both sides. I'm out. They use every inch. The roads are small.
Yeah.
It's not my deal. If I were going to build, it would be custom and it would be ridiculous. But
Yeah.
right. So, I will tell you this. I would buy, and I would buy right now in phase 1 of a big community where there's going to be like 2 or 3 phases, maybe 4 phases, spread out over a 5 to 7 year time frame.
Yep.
I would buy the one in phase 1. Whether I was going to live there or not doesn't really matter. I could
100%
rent it
agree.
out, and as soon as they're about done with phase 3, I'm selling.
That's right.
And I'm winning.
That's
this
correct.
is an almost. I mean, you've been doing this longer than I have.
This is
How do you-
almost guaranteed success. That's the cards are in your favor.
Yeah, I mean, even
that's
with the
what happened.
crash of 2008.
Yeah.
Let's say that you were in phase 1. Okay. The crash happened. The builder pulls out.
Yeah.
There's 10 homes in the neighborhood, and you own one of them.
Yeah.
They stop building. They're out.
Yeah.
Right. But then by 2013, they started building again.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I like to measure real estate in 10-year increments.
And I think that's a good way to do it.
So between Sarasota to Venice, let's leave Northport out.
Okay. Yeah.
But Sarasota to Venice on a 10-year time frame. Can you tell me any single scenario where somebody bought in phase 1 and didn't make out big time?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
One.
And how many houses have you sold? Roundabouts?
Quite a bit. I
1,000,
mean,
2,000?
No, over 100, under 200, but I don't know exactly how many.
I think I'm at
not
98.
tracking. I'm not tracking.
I've been licensed for 5.5 years, full time for 4. I think I'm at either 98 or 99. Whoever gets the 100th, I'll buy you a door knocker. So,
there were people who purchased in 2005, and it wasn't back up in 2015. Now, we had the Great Recession in the middle. We had higher interest rates in 2015 than in 2005, depending on which time frame, right? But one more year,
and they were fine.
and they were fine.
So in this
Right?
case, if we measure at 11 years,
Yeah, well, hold on. I'll add one more thing. The example that I have is actually my buyer who bought from that seller who was in that position. And it was in the Venetian Golf and River Club. Now, my buyer has since sold the property, and he sold it, a year and a half ago at the peak, right?
Right.
So he made out really well. But basically, this was a model home in the Venetian Golf and River Club, which wasn't a home. It looked and felt like a home, but it was actually officially a condo because of the zoning of that particular little area on Padova. And that the person that bought the model home bought it at the absolute peak of the market before everything kind of started coming down.
2005, stated income mortgage.
Right, exactly. and they bought it for I think 620.
Right.
And then my client picked it up, I believe it was 302 or something. So they actually overpaid a lot, and then they undersold because we negotiated that one real well. And then my client further sold it for I think 570 or something along those lines. I forget exactly.
But the general idea here though is if you buy in phase one, you might have to wait 11 years to make out.
I mean,
but
if you have a great recession, if you have major problems in the meantime,
right.
there's like a lot of ifs that are probably not going to happen in our lifetime.
Well, at least we hope not, right?
We hope not.
We hope nobody launches nukes.
That's correct.
That'll probably screw everything up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or
an assassination
major disaster.
Yeah, but also assassinations on any major president from the big countries that are involved in, commerce, things like that.
Yeah,
right?
things that are just that are going to make the world
rare.
Tailspin into something crazy, anyways. Right. That let's not even talk about that. That seems
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting any major bad news like that. I know that on my YouTube channel, I dissect a lot of articles, right? And I just did one that performed really well, which was about the foreclosures, right? Because we had major amounts of foreclosures during the last recession.
He did say had. And I'm saying that, and I'm sorry I'm interrupting.
Yeah, no worries.
I recently had a customer say, "Hey, I'm looking at a website with all these foreclosures. Show them to me." And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
There's like
I did a search for all of Sarasota.
How many?
All of Manatee County. And I didn't even segment the properties. I left condos, villas, single family, duplex, land. I think there was 11.
Exactly.
And I told the customer, I don't know what you're seeing, but if you have some information that I don't have, send it my way.
Yeah.
I find it very unlikely that we're going to have really any. Here's who could be in foreclosure. Somebody who bought in 2021 that no longer has money.
Yeah, who lost their job.
Yeah.
Or 2022, at the end of 2022.
That's about it.
Yeah. That's correct.
Other than that, that's not really a thing because everybody who bought prior to that time is sitting on equity.
That's right. But we did have a scenario that got mitigated that almost had major foreclosures. And that scenario was COVID. When COVID started, before all the prices started ramping up, there was a normal number of people defaulting on their loans or falling back, right?
I mean, my son's mother at the time, we were together, and she's a singer. Mm-hmm. She had no work.
Yeah, and that happens,
everything
right?
stopped. Everything.
Exactly.
Right?
So there were some scenarios.
But I'm talking right now.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a foreclosure around here, I'm sorry, but that's just not really a thing. And actually, I looked up real estate owned properties as well as short sales.
Okay.
I think that made the 11.
Exactly, because I was just going to say the short sales are going to come before the foreclosures. But let me tell you about this article that I dissected, because it's really interesting how they present things to us. The news headline, right? Like you said, what is it?
If it bleeds, it reads.
So the news headline versus what the article actually said. It was absolutely ridiculous. Watch this video, guys, because this video talks about the headline said foreclosures up 34%. Well, from when to when? From quarter 2 2023 to quarter 3 2023. Our second quarter to our third quarter, it went up 34%. But then you take the chart of how many, right? And you have like for you guys, it's like the chart like went up, right? Well, if you zoom out, you have over 20 years, you have foreclosures here, and then eventually it gets down to here, and it went up here.
Right.
It's still lower
So
than 2019.
What
and
they're
2018.
measuring against is ridiculous.
It's just ridiculous.
Right?
So,
you know,
up 34%, but it's down freaking 92. Okay.
there's a phrase that I learned when I was back in college, and it was research researches what research gets paid to research.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
So, you know, if you're a journalist or a barista, that we like to call them, because that's what a journalism degree gets you, a job at Starbucks.
Don't be attacking our people now.
Hey man, go find a journalism job.
Yeah.
There aren't any.
Yeah.
So, but if you're that and you want to show something that it's clickbait.
That's
so
correct. That's
so you're
exactly
going to
what it is.
research something that is outrageous, right? And your job as the journalist, and I started to go to school for journalism. That's
okay.
When I heard they were baristas, I changed my major.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but you're going to look, when you're in that job, you're going to look for something that's really shocking. You're looking for shock value.
Yeah.
And I get it. Yeah. Up 21% from when? What's the total number?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Because you can skew any data
Sure.
to sound an extreme here or an extreme on the other end.
I
It's
guarantee
just how you look
if
at
you
it.
give me enough money to research why smoking cigarettes are good, I can get a study
find a
together
way.
that's going to show you.
That's right.
You know, improved focus, right?
Right.
Lower world population, benefits,
hunger
ends
reduction,
hunger, right?
whatever. Right.
We're not even that smart, and we can figure this out.
Exactly.
So-
You know, so but the foreclosure market, if you are thinking and looking, you know, at foreclosures, you're like, oh, I'm going to make a move. I'm going to buy a house. I just wanted 50% off. Let me tell you something. Foreclosures, we will probably never have at 50% off again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then 50% off compared to what? Today? Because that's just like 2017 pricing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not even gonna have that. That's my opinion, okay? Because we have way too much money coming in from big businesses, the hedge funds. They're gonna buy it up at 75 cents on the dollar. They're not gonna let it hit 50 cents on the dollar. Then we have a whole bunch of people migrating to the area. They need houses too, and we're not expecting to slow down on that migration. That's expected to continue. So can the builders build fast enough? And if the builders overbuild, well, then maybe prices will stop increasing, right?
Sure.
We're not going to have a crash down.
And the builders are really smart. They
Exactly.
learn their lessons. These are big companies. I mean, doesn't Warren Buffett have a big stake now in some of the?
I mean, Berkshire Hathaway is a whole brokerage.
But no. Him
In what?
himself, the Berkshire, they bought, like, I think a lot of Lennar stock, or
Oh, gotcha.
They, you know,
I would-
and
yeah,
my
I mean-
understanding is that guy tends to not lose money.
Yep, that's right.
So I'm certain that
Make your bets like he does.
that he probably bought enough stock so that he can make sure that they're not getting into that sort of
That's
position
right.
unless he wanted to be in that sort of
Yeah.
position. And I don't think that's going to happen.
No, exactly.
So-
And you know, I think that for the buyers out there that are worried that they just won't qualify, that they'll never be able to get into home ownership, what I'll say, like my viewpoint on the next 20 years or so is act now. Okay, act now. Whether it's just a phone call to me or a phone call to Brian, okay, do something now, because I know that, and I'm sure Brian would do this too, but you know, we can help you figure out where is the gap that is from today to where you need to be in order to buy a house. And it might just be a once a month phone call saying like, hey, you said you were gonna pay off this debt so that we can get your debt to income ratio right. Did you do what you said? No? Okay, well, please try better next month. Are you gonna get it done by next month? Yes. Okay, and it's a process, right? I think that most people can get into home ownership, whether you have a remote, amazing job that pays $150,000 a year, or you are a barista, okay, at Starbucks.
Absolutely.
It is doable. It is possible. It won't be your dream home.
Well, I'm gonna tell you-
because, but what is your dream home? My dream home is $100 million.
If you can afford rent in Sarasota right now, there's a really good chance you could buy a house.
That's right. And worst case scenario
So,
is you
yeah.
house hack, or you buy a duplex, or you join with someone else. I have a client right now that has awesome credit, awesome income, not the down payment. He wants to buy a duplex with someone that can bring the down payment.
Bingo.
I mean,
Right.
You have to think outside the box sometimes, and that's what we are here for.
Yeah, our job, this is how I put it, I'm the easy button. That's all I am.
That's right.
You go ahead and, right? And I'm here to make it. Is it?
I don't know, like Staples.
I don't care about those people, man.
Right.
Staples and.
But you're right. You make it easy.
Know, that's 100%. That's I'm very certain that you're an expert in the bureaucracy of buying a home.
Yeah.
And so am I. And this thing is just like a puzzle. The difference between this puzzle and the puzzles that you're used to is the puzzles that you're used to getting. There's a box and a cover, and the picture is exactly the way it's going to look when you put the pieces of the puzzle together. In my experience, you have to have a vision. You have an idea of what this puzzle looks like at the end, but you don't know exactly. But when we're done moving the pieces and making this thing work, a lot of times at the end, once we get that final piece in, people go, whoa, that's better than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
and then exactly. I'm like, we win.
That's right.
So that's the idea here. And I know, especially with the apartments. Mm-hmm. They're building these kind of fancy apartments, right? They're in these big buildings. There's a lot of units. They're made of wood.
Yeah.
And they have hurricane impact windows. They have quartz, level 1 quartz countertops in the kitchens and the bathrooms. They have some tile, whether it's vinyl plank or
nice
ceramic,
amenities too,
right?
Those
couple amenities, things like that. And what I'm seeing is $2,200 to $2,500 rent. Yeah. For a 2-bedroom to start,
or 1 or 2 bedroom.
Right. And that's cool.
Afford that?
That's great.
You can afford a home.
That's great. It's more great to own a house, and I get that maybe the house isn't going to have all those shiny things. Well, it's very easy to put in your own floors.
Right.
It's very easy to really even to redo it. There's not really anything with a house that's very difficult. I know you've owned a lot. I know you don't like the old ones with the wiring.
But that's what I do too. That's what's made a lot of success for me. Is that on my first property, I could have got a nicer home, but I went for a $52,000 property, even though I could have afforded probably $130,000. Right? This is 20 some odd years ago.
You're really old.
Yeah, I know. You
must
too.
be a lot older than me.
We're the same age, dude. So I always say, look, if you want to get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and blah blah blah, all these things, 2-car garage, I say, well, do you want to get rich over time, or do you just want what you want and you're okay to pay all that money and just stay in that house for a long time? Because I like appreciating assets, and that's real estate, and I would like as much of it as possible. So therefore, the first one shouldn't be an expensive one with a high payment. It should be the lowest payment you can get. That's the goal. Get the lowest payment you can get so that your debt to income ratio isn't negatively affected by that one once you get your next property and you rent this one. That you have more than 1.25x on your rent to mortgage, your PITI. Long story, if you have questions, call me. But basically, I'm a math guy, I'm very analytical, and there is a formula to grow a real estate portfolio. And most people that don't know. That's how it goes.
Well, and the last time we were together, you said something, and now it's mine. I have it.
What you got?
Do you want to look wealthy or be wealthy?
That's right.
Right? And that's the thing, I actually do not believe in selling property.
Yeah.
There's not really a reason, unless there's a good reason to sell.
Things happen sometimes.
Right now,
but
I'm in a house in Venice, and I live in a gated community, and it's very nice, and I did buy a former model home, so it has a lot of the bells and whistles that you can't get in one that you build unless you add them on later.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's just, it doesn't fit my lifestyle now. Because lifestyles change sometimes over time.
You're sell or rent when you're ready to do something.
And the bottom line is, I could sell my house right now today just like that. I know it. I'd price it right, stage it right. The house is very healthy. Yep. I could sell it. I can go ahead and buy that house in Southgate, the one on Goldenrod.
Yeah.
The reason I won't be doing that is because although it would be more convenient for me and my lifestyle to live in this particular neighborhood in Sarasota right now, and might even bring me a little bit more joy and happiness, I'm not going to do it because I can do it. I'm going to do it when it really makes sense for me to do it. When it makes sense for me to do it is when I could buy this next house without selling my house.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather own two $500,000 houses versus own $1 million house.
Yep, I agree with that too.
You know, I mean, that's just, you know, why would I walk away from my equity and put that down just to save myself a 22-minute drive?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And I think that's the right way to look at it is, you know, the more properties you can acquire, then the higher probability of success. Because if you have 10 rentals one day and one goes vacant, you have 9 that are still paying the bills.
Right.
If you have one property and it goes vacant, you have 0% income on that, you know? And look, home ownership or rentals isn't for everyone. But I'm not saying you have to be the landlord. You could just hire a property manager. They take, you know, maybe 10%. Or you do pat split, or you do something else that
What's a pat split?
Pat split is awesome. I also did a video on this, how to double your rental income without doing Airbnb.
Nice.
And Pat Split is a program that you sign up for, and you pay them a commission of your rents. But it's a whole system, basically. It's what I did, but they made it better.
We're on my TikTok. What
Yeah.
is your? How do they find you? So I get it. You might like me.
YouTube.
He knows some stuff I don't know. So
I'm
you can
on
watch his
YouTube.
videos and then tell me how to do it.
Just on YouTube, search Florida Real Estate TV. That's my channel
That's
name.
you.
Florida Real Estate TV. Yeah, it's like
Nice.
an orange little logo. And I got 700 something subs, and it's growing, you know?
Nice.
So now I did a video just recently, last week, about Pat Split. And basically it's room rental, but like on steroids. What Pat Split does is if you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, it's a
This is room share.
kind of like room share, yes.
Okay.
Kind of. I did this, by the way, when I bought my first property that I told you for $52,000. It was a 4-bedroom townhouse in a kind of bad neighborhood, but I still was able to rent rooms. And then I bought a house that was a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath, and I rented rooms there. And I did that for a while. But what Pat Split does is a little better. What they did is they made a whole software system about it for tickets. If there's a problem, people can put in a ticket. They take the money, they collect the money, they pay out the money. They kind of make it a lot easier than you being the like landlord roommate guy. You're actually a landlord if you own the property, or roommate if you don't own the property. And they make sure that the background checks are done and all that stuff is done, you know, and people stay on average for 8 months in these pad splits. They're not like week to week or month to month.
Does this get
rentals.
around any sort of rental restrictions in some cases?
Well, think about it. We can talk about our local area. Rental restrictions for
Let's say Sarasota County. Unless
Right.
you're on a barrier
So you
island
need a
or
month,
downtown, you're
1
30
month
days, right?
rental in Sarasota County. 1 month, that's the minimum. Okay. If you're in a gated community, your gated community might have
Right, the
stricter
HOA
rules.
could trump that. I
Right,
get
or
that.
the condo, same thing. But city of Sarasota is 1 week rental. But that's now you're dealing with short term. Even 1 month is a short term rental. These are annual leases, or you can make it 6 months and a day if you want to avoid collecting the sales tax, the tourist development tax for Sarasota County, and the sales tax for the state of Florida, and then paying them and not even getting any of the cut. Just like extra work. So just make a 6 month and 1 day lease, or 7 month if you want to make it easy, and then renew it. Right? And now you don't have to collect sales tax because you're no longer considered transient occupancy. So Pat Split allows you, and what they do is, the better part of room rentals is they say, oh, well, you have this den here, let's make this a room. And you have this dining room here, let's frame it in and let's make that a room. And you have this living room here, let's frame it in and make a room. And they say no more than 4 bedrooms per bathroom. And you have additional expenses because you have to pay the water bill, you have to pay the electric bill. You usually have to pay a cleaner to come in once a week and kind of clean the bathroom and clean the kitchen up a little bit, you know? So like $100 extra a week. But you're getting, you know, an extra 900 here, an extra 800 here. Like, who cares about this?
I like this idea.
It's a really good idea. My
Yeah.
buddy, Chris
I think there'd be a
Lowe-
lot of people open to this too.
Yeah, so my buddy Chris is currently going through, he bought 2 places in Tampa and he's going through the remodel part because he knows numerous investors that are doing very well on it. And, you know, obviously, our rent costs are not that cheap for a whole single family home. But if you own it, you know, you might be able to rent it for how much your mortgage is, or you might be able to pad split it and make twice as much. So it's a great little idea. I do recommend you guys watch the video or just look up padsplit.com. You know, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is really all I had on my mind. Do you have anything else you kind of wanted to add for everyone, or does anyone have any questions? Let's give them 60 seconds to write something on TikTok. If you have any
I like
questions,
TikTok.
You know?
You like TikTok?
I do like TikTok.
TikTok
you know, it's
is cool.
a really good way to reach people that have never heard of you, you know? And it's like, it's one thing to call your past clients and to share knowledge on a YouTube channel or something, but which does reach some people that have never heard of you. But TikTok is a great way to reach a lot of people that have never heard
I
of
love
you.
TikTok. You know, I mean, really, this is kind of the extent that we actually have real estate conversations. Every now and then you'll see a video of maybe a listing of mine or something like that. But for the most part, I'm just trying to show people what I like here. You know, just last
that's what
within
your TikTok's
within
about.
the last 2 weeks, I did one over at Evie's
Yeah,
on B Ridge.
I saw it.
Right?
Yeah.
And I just happened to be with my friend. We're having a couple beers. Evie's is a pretty popular group of restaurants around here. I don't know if it's family owned or corporate. I have no idea.
I don't know,
But there's like 5, 6, 7
That's
of
cool.
them around here.
You know, you can
but that one in
play
particular,
golf,
there's
play
a
mini
driving
golf.
range.
Yeah,
There's a
driving range,
and
yeah.
a huge tiki bar.
Yeah, and an arcade and like,
Yeah,
bunch of stuff
there's
for
arcade,
kids.
ice cream, there's all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of people. It's more my vibe. You know, I like downtown Sarasota during the day.
Yeah.
To go there later at night, it's just not. I might be too old.
Yeah.
I
think you are. No?
And I'm not. I'm not. There's all age groups of
Yeah,
people.
that's
I'm not really looking to go party and then take an Uber back because
Yeah.
I don't drink and drive. But you know, I was at Evie's, hitting a bucket of balls. You know, we were there for a while. I had a couple beers, ate our meal there, and then we're just hitting balls. And I pulled my camera out and I said, "Yo, you know, you might want to check this place out. It's got this, that, and the other." I was shocked by the comments.
Oh yeah.
Because I had a number of people who have lived here for 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, had no idea.
You're kidding.
They had no idea there was
Yeah,
a
I
driving
love
range
that
in
place.
back. They had no idea
And
there
it's
was a
like,
tiki
and they
bar.
light it up at night, so you can be there
Oh,
in
dude,
the evening.
it's-
You
I-
know, it's
I was
popping.
I was
place
just
has a
back
lot of
there
people.
Wednesday night with my friend Luke Holcomb, who's also an agent, a really great one. He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
And where was I going? Oh, it was pizza night.
Great.
So I think a medium pizza with no toppings was $9.
Nice.
A large one was 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can have, you know, beer. They have this huge bar outside. And, you know, when I was there like maybe 2-3 weeks ago and just meeting up with some friends, and I come in and I hear someone yelling my name, you know, and
It looks
then
like
I
there's
see my
somebody
buddy,
who wants to go live with us.
I
Do we
see
do
my
that?
buddy Gavin. Yeah,
Let's see
try
what
to do
happens.
that.
We've never done this before. We're
right,
TikTok
press it.
live virgins.
Press invite. Invite sent. Let's see if they
Did
join
it
us.
work? Did I do
don't
it
know.
right?
It said invite sent.
Okay.
You could probably set it back up, and if they join, great.
I'm gonna
If
hit the
not,
button.
That's okay.
Hey, keep it classy, whoever you are.
Yeah,
yeah. This is PG.
Well, we're about to wrap this up, so let's get here.
Hey, Mr. T, I loved you in the A team. You know, I pity the
A-team,
fool
that's
that,
right.
that takes my Cheetos or something.
Yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't too into that show, but I know about it. I had some of the action figures when I was a kid. You know, in Canada.
So But yeah.
Oh, good, man.
Yeah, no, TikTok's really fun. What have you been, so I like to do fun things.
Yeah.
I
You're
gotta tell
always
you,
out and about doing things.
yeah, man, and I've been having a great time going and just checking out some of the really fun lifestyle things to do here.
Yeah.
I've been going to Waterside. Have you been downtown Waterside?
Not like in the evening.
It's
hang
amazing.
I've shown property in that area.
Yeah, so that is
yeah.
a place I like to go later in the evening, especially on Friday and Saturday nights. And late for me is, 7 to 10.
Yeah.
But it's neat. People are really dressed up. They're going for it. It's like being downtown, but in this artificial downtown.
Yeah, it's like its
or a
own
pop-up
little,
downtown,
it's like a
right?
little
Yeah,
section.
but that place is awesome. They have communities that range from like 500 or 520,000 up to 3 million or so, and there's a giant lake. Is that man-made or was that there?
I'm pretty sure it's not man-made. It might have been man-altered.
Okay, it's large.
Yeah, it's large.
And then there are water taxis that you can take from this area back to your house or back to your community.
Yeah, nice.
So I'm like, this is awesome. And they have all kinds of stuff. They have a steakhouse. They have a really great brewery with wonderful food. There's an Italian restaurant. There's a bunch of more restaurants coming, a seafood one. There's a Pilates studio. There's it looked like a high-end hair salon, and just kind of all the things.
But it's like you could going out is free. You don't have to spend all this money too.
Right.
And what we did recently is we went to the on Boulevard of the Arts. West of 41. There's that new park that was been open for about a year or so, and they had like a pumpkin Halloween thing with a movie night for kids. It was so popular, and I was just playing cornhole there. And
yeah,
it's a waterfront. Then the kids were watching movies. Well, my niece and nephew, they're younger. My kids are like a little older now. One's an adult already, so they weren't down for the movie. But it was like a Monsters Inc. or whatever was playing. Lots of people. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people. They gave out little pumpkins. Sarasota has a lot of little things that they do, and most of them are free. In fact, I'm looking forward to the ice sculpture in Lakewood Ranch, in December that they do for the Christmas.
I've never been to that.
It's awesome. There's it's like lots of events.
Yeah.
And you want to go and spend money, cool. You don't, cool. It's just like people getting together, and that's another reason why I love our area.
Yeah. Well, Waterside is awesome. Funny thing is that I actually live 8 minutes from downtown Welland Park and never went there until about 2 weeks ago.
And what do you think?
It's great.
Yeah.
I like Waterside better, and I don't know why. There doesn't seem to be any particular reason, and if you're a buyer or a seller, that's not there's different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why. I think for me, it just comes down to location. Again, I'm in Venice right now, and I want to move back to Sarasota. I grew up in Sarasota. I prefer Sarasota. Welland Park is great. It's nice. It's kind of the same sort of thing. They actually put an Oak and Stone there now.
Okay.
There's a really an upscale restaurant called the Banyan House that I ate at. It was great. Nice drinks. Fancy food. Very pretty. I think it'd just be location. I do like Waterside because you're right down the street from UTC, which is right down the street from downtown Sarasota, which is right down the street from Siesta Key. Right? So
exactly.
All things leading to Siesta are always more interesting to me than things going somewhere else.
I think we're kind of like expanding the development is expanding where Sarasota went right into Bradenton, right? That's like a straight thing. There's always something here, right? And then it went east of the interstate to Lakewood Ranch like 25, 30 years ago. And Lakewood Ranch continually keeps going further. And then the northeast is going into Parrish, which
that's the neat thing about Parrish. And that's why
it's the extension.
Parrish is a good buy, right?
You're going to be like the first people in Lakewood Ranch.
I left that out. So Parrish is down the road from St. Pete, down the road from Tampa, down the road from Bradenton, down the road from Sarasota, and connected to Lakewood Ranch. I think, aren't they calling it like the second Lakewood Ranch now?
Basically,
or
yes.
something?
But I have a feeling that in about 20, 30 years,
they're going to gobble it up.
It's going to be all one thing.
Yeah, it might be.
And that's because the plan, they have a 20, 25-year plan, and all the land's basically bought. It's already committed to be residential or commercial. The high school is built. You know, all the shopping things, and you know they can't just go and build all the commercial then build all the residential. Nor they can't do the reverse. They have to progressively expand it, right? And that would just like Lakewood Ranch. It's just going further east of the interstate.
See,
right?
and I don't know as much about Manatee County plans as I do about Sarasota County. One thing, a resource that you might want to check out, I believe it's called the Sarasota Economic Development Corporation. That is, they focus on Sarasota County. They help some of these new big businesses come to Sarasota. And if you want a really clear crystal ball, you might want to look at what they have on their website. You know, there's a lot happening down in Northport near the interchanges. I don't think it's Sumter, it's Toledo Blade. There's plans to build a big complex there. I think that's actually where Sarasota County's headquarters is going to be. I think they're leaving Sarasota, like, you know, where they're at now. So there's a lot of things happening, and if you know the projects that are coming, then you kind of know what's going to happen. It's kind of like Nokomis over on Laurel, where they built the new hospital.
Yeah, exactly.
We knew that the real estate was going to go up there because there were going to be doctors and there were going to be nurses and all the other support staff.
And look at the new construction right
there. Right there, right?
East of the interstate, there's so much, and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
you know, it's really, really nice.
So,
and even one exit down and one exit up, like everyone gets affected by it. You know, So go look at that plan, and I should do that too.
Sarasota Economic Development Corporation. I believe that's what it's called. If not, I'll put something in the notes or send you something.
Yeah, perfect.
Very interesting stuff. But anyways, thank you all so much. Maciek,
thank you guys.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you,
You're
sir.
so awesome.
I appreciate it. I like doing these. If you guys have any questions that you want us to address on the next one that we're going to do probably next week, just write a comment. That's it. Just write a comment and we will address it. We will talk about it and I'll give you my 2 cents. We'll get another 2 from there and hopefully we have 5 cents at the end.
What is today's date? Is it the 28th
I don't know.
19th or 17th?
28th, I think.
You know what? I missed my best friend's birthday was the 17th. I didn't even tell him.
You need to
Either
give
way,
someone a call.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
So what are you going to be?
I don't know.
I bought a shirt that says "Pretend I am a spider."
Okay.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, $10 on Amazon. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I might default to my Adidas Gear Run DMC look.
There you go.
That's an easy one. I'm
that
just a little white for that, but that's all right. Run DMC is loved by everyone.
So that's awesome.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Brian. We will see you on the next one, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot.